and welcome to the History and Chill channel, where we combine history and ASMR. And on this snowy day in Belgium, in Flanders, I decided to do another video about World War II, which is my absolute favorite topic to talk about and to state some facts about, I guess. Yeah, it's snowing outside, which is very rare. Recent years in Belgium, because mostly we don't really actually have winter anymore. We just have like 10 degrees and rain. But yeah, it's snowing and it's supposed to last one day. Tomorrow it's going to rain, so I'll enjoy it later this evening. Anyways, moving on to the facts of today. World War II facts. I have them here on my phone. Put them together in a Word document. I have prepared 20 facts for today. So let's just get started with the most obvious fact. That is fact number 1. World War II lasted from 1939 up until 1945. It began with the invasion of Poland by Germany, with the Blitzkrieg, and it ended with the bombing of Japan, with the atomic bombs on Hiroshima and Nagasaki. Fact number 2. It involved the vast majority of the world, forming two opposing military alliances, the Allies and the Axis. The major participants threw their industrial, economical, and scientific capabilities behind the war effort, which is kind of obvious. Fact number 3. World War II was the deadliest conflict ever in history, resulting in 70 to 85 million fatalities, with more civilian than military personnel being killed. Fact number 4. Tens of million people died because of genocide. That is including the infamous Holocaust. If you guys are interested in some more facts about the Holocaust, I have another video about it. It's called ASMR Facts about the Holocaust, and it should be somewhere in the playlist that you can see right there. I added a playlist. I hope it's working. So you can search for it. Fact number 5. It is the only war where nuclear weapons were actually used. As I already said, the war ended in 1945 with the bombing of Japan in the cities of Hiroshima and Nagasaki. There's an alarm going off outside in the street. Maybe someone threw a snowball on a car. I don't know. I don't know how bothering this is. Maybe I'll wait a bit. Alright, so the alarm ended. As I was saying, fact number 5, it is the only war where there were actual atomic bombs being used in Nagasaki and Hiroshima, 2 cities in Japan. Because following the Second World War, there was this Cold War you probably know about, and it was always threatening with nuclear warfare, but it never actually happened. And World War II is the only war where it did actually happen, but because prior to World War II, nuclear warheads weren't a thing. They didn't exist already. So moving on to fact number 6. On June 22 in 1941, Germany invaded the Soviet Union, opening the Eastern Front, the largest land theater of war in history. This caused Germany, more specifically the Wehrmacht, to get caught in a war of attrition. And eventually this led to, I'm sure you all know, like the mass losses the German army and the Russian Soviet army had in the Second World War. my native language, as some of you might know. But yeah, moving on to fact number 7. Japan, which was already at war with the Chinese Republic by 1937, aimed to dominate Asia and the Pacific. Japan attacked American and British territories, including Pearl Harbor. This caused for a declaration of war against Japan by the US, and this was followed by the UK, and eventually all the Allies. Fact number 8. The Axis powers then declared war on the US out of solidarity with their ally, Japan. Germany eventually declared war. Yeah. Maybe that wasn't so smart. Fact number 9. Japan captured a lot of territories in the Western Pacific. But they eventually got halted in 1942 after losing the critical Battle of Midway. That's an interesting one. I remember watching a documentary about the Battle of Midway, and I think it was like an American theme that like cracked the Japanese coding messages, and they already knew that they were going to attack at Midway, and then they intentionally deceived the Japanese intelligence forces that they were like stationed elsewhere or something. I can't really remember all the specifics, but I'm sure if you Google it or something, you will find a lot of interesting facts or interesting reads on the Battle of Midway, because it actually is a very pivotal battle in the Pacific War theater. Very interesting. Fact number 10. The Germans and Italians were defeated in North Africa and at Stalingrad in the Soviet Union. Fact number 11. Eventually, the Allied invasions of Sicily and the Italian mainland forced the Axis powers into a tactical retreat. Because of losing multiple battles on the Eastern Front and Allied offenses in the Pacific, the Axis powers were forced to strategically retreat on all fronts. Which is not great news if you were part of the Axis powers, obviously, but it was awesome news if you were part of the Allied powers. For obvious reasons. Yes, alright. Fact number 12. In 1944, the Western Allies invaded German-occupied France, while the Soviet Union was regaining its territorial losses and turned towards Germany and its allies. Obviously, in 1944, on June 6th, it was like with the D-Day invasion, it was the Normandy Invasion, where Americans, Canadians, French resistance forces landed on the beaches of Normandy. Again, I'm sure you probably have heard about it somewhere in high school or, I don't know, in movies. But I'm sure you all know that that battle was really crucial, and as it happens, my birthday is on the 6th of June, so I always thought that was so cool. I was always really proud of it. I'm sorry. And obviously, not obviously, but with this battle again, the Allies deceived the German intelligence forces because they stationed their troops at Kent, I think. Yeah, Kent. Not sure. Maybe. To make it seem, they did like not station their actual troops there, but they deployed fake camps to have the Germans believe that they would attack at Calais, where the street, the Northern Sea, is most narrow between France and Britain. And yeah, actually, when the invasion happened, the Germans were still so convinced that the actual attack would happen deceiving work from the Allies. The Battle of D-Day, I mean the Normandy Invasion, which is really like, I'm always interested in like these yeah, I don't know, these tricks and deceiving tactics, and yeah, I don't know, I think they're brilliant, because they even had dummy tanks. They had like inflatable tanks stationed on the beaches, near the beaches. So yeah, and they also had fake encrypted messages. They had double spies who were reporting of large number of forces being mobilized towards the English beach, where that like is the is the closest to Calais. And yeah, it was a whole tactical operation. It took months, maybe years to plan. Yeah, I'm sorry, I'm rambling on. Where was I? Oh yeah, fact number 13. During 1944 and 1945, Japan suffered reversals in mainland Asia. The Allies also crippled the Japanese Navy and captured key Western Pacific islands. Yeah, there's also a lot of important battles that were fought back then. None spring to mind at the moment, but yeah. Moving on to fact number 14. The war in Europe came to an end with the liberation of German occupied territories and the invasion of Germany by the Western Allies and the Soviet Union. This eventually led to the fall of Berlin, ending the war in Europe. And following that, the war in Europe came to an end with the liberation of German occupied territories and the invasion. I'm sorry, I'm reading the same fact. I had to work this morning and I'm really tired. My apologies. Fact number 15. This led to the suicide of Adolf Hitler. He took a cyanide pill and shot himself, just to make sure he was dead. His body was then burned by a few guards. He did this to make sure his body would not be paraded by the Soviets. And you can see this in the awesome movie Der Untergang, or in English, The Downfall. Yeah, it's a really good movie about the last final days of Adolf Hitler and his surroundings, and you can really see the desperate attempts and like the complete madness that Adolf Hitler portrays in the movies, and actually his entire surroundings. You know, they were so devoted to him, and they were so blindsided by this idealism that is just beyond belief, you know. Because of like Goebbels, I'm not going to say how the movie goes, but yeah, no, I'm not gonna say about it all. No, I'm not gonna spoil the movie. Just watch it. It's a really good movie. But as I already said, he also burned his body. He gave the order before he committed suicide to burn both his body and Eva Braun's body, who committed suicide alongside of him, with him. And he did this so the Russians could not parade his body, because, yeah, he didn't like the idea, obviously. And moving on to fact number 16. This led to Germany's unconditional surrender on the 8th of May 1945. You might think this would have ended the war, but Japan did not surrender at all. And this is because the Japanese forces were following a samurai principle where, yeah, it's not okay to surrender. One had to be killed in battle before so he couldn't surrender, you know, because when he surrendered, it was absolutely, his honor would be gone. And this is actually comparable with the Vikings having to dying to battle to enter Valhalla. So you can see like a cross-cultural because you had like kamikaze pilots. Moving on to fact number 17. Eventually, America dropped the first ever atomic bombs on Hiroshima the 6th of August and later the 9th of August on Nagasaki. Well, yeah, there's an article I read about the crew of the bomber that dropped these atomic bombs, and they all say, up until the moment of their deaths, that they all always said it, that they didn't feel bad about dropping the bombs because they said that they saved multiple lives and millions of lives and ended the war. And there are some sources that say that it wasn't necessary to drop the bombs, but in my opinion, I mean, like, who are we to judge their action right now? I mean, like, it's easier to say, it's easy to criticize afterwards, you know, but that war was truly hell and horrific, so they just wanted the war to end, and I can understand that. Anyways, moving on to fact number 18. This led to the absolute surrender of Japan. This is also the first time the Emperor of Japan spoke to his people in a radio speech. The event was called the Voice of God, because the Emperor was not commonly known to speak to his people in public messages, but he stated in that message that the Japanese fought really well, I guess, and that they have made peace with the Allies, which actually means that they lost, you know. But yeah, also a lot of officers, they didn't want to surrender at all. They just thought we have to do like this desperate attack or something to just kill ourselves because we do not want to surrender. Yeah. Fact number 19. Following the war, there were a lot of processes and tribunals against war criminals committed by the Axis power, despite a lot of them being Italian leaders and generals, especially the war crimes in Yugoslavia. They were often pardoned because of diplomatic activities. I'm sure you all know that Italy, they switched sides during the war, and this made sure that a lot of war criminals could escape their fate. Fact number 20. Most of the German high command, however, was executed following the Nuremberg trials, which happened in 1945 and lasted up until 1946. This is the last fact. I really hope you enjoyed, because I enjoyed making the fact video. And I do hope to see you in the next video. If you like these kind of videos, there's a playlist of my videos. All the facts videos are in this playlist, so you can check it out. Goodbye, and I'll see you in the next video. Cheers.